Hello, welcome back to WEAZEL News. I'm your host, Colin Collins. Our top story tonight is that notorious criminal Stephen Wilson was apprehended last night due to a failed attempt at a bank robbery up in Blaine County. An alarm was triggered by one of the suspects, and the PD were there within minutes. A standoff that led to a negotiation lasted for hours on end. Demands were made for £50,000 for the safety of the hostages and the release. Once the money was provided, the hostages were released back into police custody, and after quick examination by an EMS worker that was on the scene, they were discovered to be unharmed. Once the suspects were back in police company, the suspect fled in the vehicles that they had arranged. A chase began with numerous PD officers following them into a city at a high-speed pace. A short while later, Stephen Wilson and his main associate, Vito Morello, were apprehended at Vespucci Beach. Mr. Morello was sentenced to 30 months in prison with a £3,500 fine. Stephen Wilson was facing the same sentence and fine, but was granted bail and will appear at the courthouse next week. If found guilty, he could be given a 60-month sentence and an unlimited fine. I now speak directly to you, the people. Stephen Wilson is a dangerous individual. Please, if you see this man in the street, beware, run and hide. Will he face justice? Only time will tell. In local news, fans of my chat show, Chatting Column, will be so happy to hear our local PD commissioner has proposed to his sweetheart officer, Alice Jones. Roll the clip.
Alice, it's been a long time in the making, but I really, really do love you. Will you marry me?
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Well, I guess the commissioner will be getting the special cuffs tonight. The government have now imposed an unimpound fee which stands at £500. So, if you get your personal vehicle impounded by the police, you better be ready with that cash. Local citizens are not taking this newfound fine well. Now on to sports with Mikey Smith. Mikey, take it away.
Thank you, Colm, and welcome to the Sports Report with Mikey Smith. Fans of the English Premier League were in for an amazing treat last night as Platinum Network Football Club absolutely demolished West Ham United Football Club 7-0, with 6 goals coming from their new striker, Pablo Hermanos, who they signed last year for £9 million. What a bargain he's turned out to be. In other matches, Everton-Liverpool drew 0-0 in the Merseyside derby, and Chelsea won 4-0 against Fulham, an amazing treat for all football fans. In other sport news, in men's basketball, Platinum Network basketball team absolutely demolished the other side, the Renegade Raiders, 78-56. On the court, they absolutely demolished them in the fourth quarter, leading to another victory for the Platinum Network basketball team. That's all we have for sports today, Colm. Back to you.
Well, thank you, Mikey. Go sports teams. Am I right, folks? Well, in other news, those wishing for an exciting career change should consider Pillbox Hospital, as they are now recruiting individuals who are looking to enter the medical field of work. And now, back to Mikey Smith for weather. Mikey, what's the update?
Well, Colm, thank you for introducing us to the weather report. So it looks like everyone on the north side of the city up towards Sandy Shores is in for a nice hot summer day coming up soon. It's going to be glorious weather with no clouds and temperatures into the high teens. Expect roughly 19 degrees at the highest and a low of 14 degrees. However, contrast that to the south side of the city, towards the dock side of the city, it has to be said. Expect more of a cold night with a lot of rain in the area. A lot of precipitation is expected, and expect temperatures to drop towards 7 degrees. So I would advise bringing an umbrella. Back to you, Colm.
Some sad news now, as 2 officers have sadly lost their lives. Inspector Gordon McFarlane and PCSO Alex Smith have unfortunately lost their lives in the line of duty. They had heard reports of incidents around the area of Mount Chiliad. They began chasing individuals who they believed to be suspects, but were actually tourists on holiday. It is believed Officer McFarlane slipped into PCSO Smith, where they had fallen over the side and fell over 150 feet. Their bodies were discovered at the bottom of Mount Chiliad by a passing dog walker. Earlier, I visited Mount Chiliad and spoke with Inspector Michael Smith about the demise of the officers. I'm currently standing here on the top of Mount Chiliad, here with Inspector Michael Smith. Inspector Smith, what can you tell us about the officers who lost their lives here?
So, unfortunately, the officers involved were Inspector Gordon McFarlane and PCSO Alex Smith, two very fine officers indeed in the force, been around for quite a while. They were responding to, I believe, a suspect in the area that was evading on foot, but they did mix this up. I believe the tourists behind me were the ones they mixed them up with in question. At approximately 12:05, they had unfortunately tripped. I believe from the forensics that we have, currently information is coming in through still, that it's believed that Mr. McFarlane had slipped, had landed into Mr. Smith, and they both fell approximately 150 feet down the side of this cliff, and they were both found by a dog walker who was assisting with police. Both the officers' families are being supported by trained liaison officers at this time.
And there you have it. Back to you in the studio. There you have it, folks. Remember, lock your doors at night, stay away from people like Mr. Wilson, and keep watching Weasel News for all your important news. Good night, and good luck.